This may not sound like something I've not done before. This is actually another A4, but this one's unique because it's the A4 Ultra, meaning it's front wheel drive, and it has a different torque curve so that it actually expands upon better city driving. And it does that with front wheel drive, easier launch off the line, and more fuel efficiency. So let me show you some details here. As you'll see, this is actually a 2017 A4 Ultra front-wheel drive S-tronic, meaning that it has the automated manual, and it's a 7-speed transmission. And we have some options here, very few options on this one, so it's relatively an affordable A4 for some people. The total price on this is actually $38,735. You'll see here it's supposed to get 37 mpgs on the highway and 31 combined overall. So you're getting an A4. It may be front wheel drive, but you're also getting very good fuel efficiency. And I'm going to drive this around the block to see if it's still an Audi. Let's take a look at it. Now inside I have the great 3-zone climate control. We have some controls here that are actually touch sensitive. You can change it to 3-zone. You can set the rear temperature here. It's showing up as 71, 72. I can change it from here, which is cool. Also, we can go back to sync. Now everyone's at 70. Press auto. The whole car's taken care of. I also have heated seats. Very nice, especially on a cold day. And you'll see here we have our controls here for the radio and the computer screen. This is not a touch screen, but it does have a touch sensitive pad here where you can actually type things that you want. So in navigation you can actually write in the address that you want, which is very nice. Overall though, we have just a very Spartan interior here. We have some great aluminum trim. It's got a texture to it. It's nice and cool. And then of course in the back, it's quite roomy for an A4. And then in the center display, we actually don't have virtual cockpit in here. That's always an option on the A4, but we have a great instrumentation layout. We have a tabbed menu system here that allows us to go through the trip computer and the different media options as well. We have bright, clear, crystal clear gauges, and of course the steering wheel. This is not a flat bottom steering wheel, but it feels very sporty. We do have paddles on here, which is great because it's a 7-speed automated manual transmission known as S-tronic. And then we also have a great button layout with lots of control here to get through the trip computer and the different settings for that, as well as navigation, voice commands, the telephone, and then of course your song and your volume. So the car's already on. It actually starts up very easily. It's a very quick startup. It's a whirring sound. I actually think it's the most unique sound I've ever heard on an Audi so far. We also have start stop. So when you are at a red light or a stop sign and you put your foot down on the pedal to a complete stop, the engine will shut off. And when you take your foot off the brake pedal, the engine starts back up. So we're going to put it in drive. Car starts back up even when you're parked. And we drive off. Pairing front-wheel drive with an automated manual transmission is something that Volkswagen has been doing a lot of their cars, the Jetta, the Passat, and I don't think it's a bad thing, but we're going to find out here. How does it accelerate off the line? Ooh. 50. Well, it does quite well actually. I'll get the digital speedometer here so you can just see where we are with the speed and how quiet it is in here. My foot is a little greasy. I stepped in some detailing fluid before I got in the car, and my foot's a little slippery on the brake, so that rubbing, squeaky sound is my foot on the brake. But beyond that, let's just see what this car is like. This is the typical route I take. Oh, right there, it just recognized those pedestrians and gave me a warning and actually jolted the brake pedal real quick. Obviously, they were still crossing the street. I still had the chance to experience that, which is nice. The car's looking out for me. So if I wasn't paying attention, I guess there wouldn't have been an accident in the first place. But that's technology that's baked into the Audi. So you got to think, as far as the price, if it's a premium over something you were considering, like maybe you were looking at a fully loaded Passat, but you can spend just a few grand more and get a Audi A4 Ultra. It's going to have all this technology that the Passat doesn't have. Other manufacturers offer that technology now too, but it's great to see it on a base A4. This car also has drive select. Right now it's in dynamic mode. I'm going to put it into auto. Auto allows it to adjust the steering and the transmission mapping and the throttle input based on how you're driving, what your driving style is like. So you can go between city and highway, or maybe even go to the track. It's going to adjust the vehicle at all times. So right now the steering is light. It's not super light, but it does provide a lot of laser precise style input. It reminds me of the Volkswagen Jetta I had a long time ago with that electromechanical steering, which this also has. It's a great feeling. You just point it and it goes. And that's the difference between front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive as well. When you go from a quattro to an ultra, you're still not getting all that torque steer because there is a very nice e-diff, or an electronic diff, that's doing a torque split here, and it's also reducing the amount of torque steer. There's basically very little. Now, if I accelerate off this rocky, sandy, yeah, I wasn't fighting with the wheel. It was just going straight. Traction control was working it all out. It was doing everything for me. So if you live in a snowy climate or a very wet climate, I don't think you're going to have a problem driving this there as well, within reason. I mean, obviously, in a quattro you can do different things, but in this front-wheel drive Audi A4 Ultra, I think it's more capable than other front-wheel drive cars. Now this one actually does not have navigation. It doesn't have that option. You can get navigation, but I'm going to stick here with the main menu, so you can go through the different options on the menu. The transmission lever is great because it's flat and it creates a resting area where you can put your wrist on there and use the controls here for the MMI system. It's good to have. So why would you want a car like this? I think it would be for someone who spends a lot of time in traffic. Which there is a lot of today, being that it's Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day. If you are in a place like Austin, you're not going to be able to use a V6 or a V8 these days. You're going to be stuck in traffic. So you want the most efficient, but most luxurious and comfortable and somewhat sporty vehicle that you can get, meaning that it has to be quick. And this fits the bill. Right now we're on the freeway at 62. The speed limit's 70, so let's see how it can accelerate around this truck. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. So it's enough for a road warrior / commuter who wants to get around, maybe go from San Antonio to Austin all the time. A lot of people do that commute, and it'll get you to and from without any problems. And then when you're in the thick of it, it's got all this technology, auto start stop, it has low end torque, and I think it's a car worth considering if you drive a lot of miles on a daily basis. Now what I'll do is I'll take the next exit up here and head on back, but we'll see how it performs in the weird Texas U-turn thing they have here on the freeways. These seats are bigger than the seats on the previous A4. They're much more comfortable, and as far as the driving position, it doesn't feel like an A4. It feels like a completely different vehicle. So Audi did a lot of work, and that's why it took a long time to bring out this A4. The work they did pays off, and it shows. They did a great job with the technical details with the driving position and the characteristics of how it rides on the road. It's smooth as silk here, very quiet in here. And of course, I'm a little partial to the design. I don't really think it's a great design, but at the same time it is evolutionary. But you know, that's neither here nor there. When you're inside the car, that's all that matters. And inside, it's a nice setup. I feel like I'm in full control, because I am. See this kind of traffic? This kind of traffic is so typical. The road is faster than the freeway. But if you're in that stop and go traffic, or that really slow traffic, you want to be in a car that you enjoy being in. You want something with a great stereo. You want something with comfortable seats. And you want something that's fuel efficient, so you don't have to always get gas every 2 or 3 days. So keep that in mind. I'm not saying this car will be the only car to fit that bill, but this is definitely an option for someone who doesn't think they need all-wheel drive, who doesn't think they need a V6. Definitely consider the A4 Ultra. Handles bumps quite well. And with that 7th gear, what this transmission does is it's right now we're cruising at 65 miles an hour at 1400 RPM, just so you know. Just so you know. That's when it runs at 1400 RPM on the highway, it reduces all the noise that you're going to get from the engine compartment. So the lower RPMs mean much quieter ride. And I think you can hear it now. Right now we're doing 68, 69, 70 miles an hour. And we're turning over at, well, around 1500 RPM. This is 70 miles an hour. I don't believe it. And this is one of those roads that are notoriously noisy for the vehicles that I've reviewed before. This is that stretch of 71 between the Austin Airport and I-35. You can kind of pick up all that tire noise that's from the way this pavement is. Now I'm going to go from Drive Select and go into Comfort Mode. Let's just see what that does. I'm sure that doesn't do much at this speed other than make the steering a lot lighter, which is what it feels like it's doing. And then if I go into Dynamic Mode, so it downshifted, it put the transmission in Sport Mode, which means it's 1 gear lower. So we're from 7th gear to 6th gear, and I should have some passing power. When there's a clearing ahead, I will see if I can pass somebody. Clearing up. And look, another Corolla. I'm going to try and see, using this Corolla as the measuring gauge, how well this thing accelerates. See, there's the Corolla. I'm doing 69. I'm going to put my foot down. Sport mode, dynamic, put my foot down. Now. 80, 82. So, very quick for a 4-cylinder automatic. Front-wheel drive, something that would be great for someone who's looking for a commuter. I'm also looking forward to the 2017 A4 manual, and that's apparently also going to be like this Ultra. except it's going to have quattro. So it will be an electronic quattro all-wheel drive system that is coupled with a fuel efficient saving technique, which I think is going to use this same engine. It scoots along quite well in sport. Let's put it in regular drive mode and then get over to auto. Auto, there we go. I think what they've done on this car is they've made something where it's very subtle, and it's for people who might want to be in an Audi for the first time, or people who just want a normal car. You know, some Audis are pretty good at being very special, and that's what the quattro or the different style of engine that they have. You know, granted, in this car I do not have blind spot monitors. You can always get that. Handled the railroad tracks quite well. And with the paddles, I can pull back anytime I want to upshift. I can pull back to downshift. I'm in full control here. And as I downshift, it jolts the throttle a little bit, gets that gear down. So I'd like to thank Audi of South Austin for letting me drive the A4 Ultra. It's basically a brand new car for 2017, brand new for the A4 in general. Well, I think it's a great option for people who are looking for an affordable A4, or maybe want an alternative to what's out there with the competitors. Thanks for watching.